Gear up as Cash Miller and the team of accomplished guests steer you on an enlightening voyage filled with valuable tips, fresh insights, and effective strategies. Welcome to Marketing Masters, the Agency Power Show.
Hello, everyone. This is Cash Miller. I'm the host of Marketing Masters and the CEO of Titan Digital. Today, we're going to be talking Facebook marketing and using the ad platform. It is really valuable, but there's been a lot of changes over the last few years in how effective it can be. I've got Nicki Sciberras of the Digital Exchange with me today. She's a Facebook marketing expert, and she's going to be helping us understand how the platform can be used effectively to promote your business within Facebook itself. Nicki, which do you prefer, actually?
Actually, Nicki's great because everyone calls me Nicki, so.
Okay, good. I'll go with that. Okay, so Nicki, it's great to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. So my name is Nicki, as you just heard, and I run the Digital Exchange. We were previously Miss Marketing, and we have just rebranded. This is the first show I'm doing with the new branding, which is super exciting. So we help online businesses grow and scale using Facebook ads, Google ads, and SEO. So we teach SEO and Facebook ads, and we offer Facebook and Google ads as management services.
Okay, well, great. I always enjoy talking with ad experts, and Facebook is one of those because, of course, the platform's been around for a long time. It's great for certain types of businesses, others not so much. But Facebook being what it is, they want to make money, and so the ad portion of the platform is really huge if you're going to use it to try to advertise your business. So I want to start with let's talk some of the changes that have happened over these last few years and how the platform's a bit different than it used to be when it comes to ads, especially with AI, because I know they're incorporating that soon too.
Yeah, so I think the biggest change that we probably saw was with iOS 14 when basically the privacy laws changed and we weren't able to track the same amount of information and people were able to start turning their advertising off. So previous to that, you could basically set up ads and you could get sales on autopilot, and it was super easy to do. Now that that has changed, we've had to adjust our strategies on the platform, and I can delve deeper into how that looks. But essentially, it has become a lot harder to get results unless you actually know what you're doing. Before it was you could just put some ads up and you could almost be sure that you'd get something out of it. But now if you don't set them up right and your strategy isn't right, then it's going to become an issue. And then, with AI, it's absolutely changing everything, and it's making a lot of things a whole lot easier, even things from like creating copy for your website. You can bang it out pretty fast. So, but obviously there are still a lot of manual things that you need to do, like testing and optimizing your ads. You can't just throw something up there and hope it works.
Yeah. As, business owners, what should they be like? Why do you want to use Facebook today? Because, the thing is you've got Instagram, you've got TikTok, you've got, I want to say what's left of Twitter, but like there's so many other platforms and avenues to go. Why is Facebook still essential?
Yeah, so just for everybody listening, because I know this is a question that comes up a lot. So Facebook advertising incorporates Instagram as well. So the platform, when you post on Facebook, it can post across to Instagram as well. Now, the reason that we use this platform is because nearly everybody that we know or that probably has a Facebook or Instagram profile. It's one of the most highly used platforms across the world. There are billions of people that are using it. So that makes the user base extremely big, which means that you can find it's possible that you can almost find everybody can find their audience on the platform, whether it be a niche or like a broader audience. There's so many people on the platform that it's unlikely that you won't be able to find your audience. Other platforms have, say, more of a younger demographic. So you might find like on TikTok or Snapchat, it's a much younger audience, but you'll find on Instagram and Facebook, the age demographics are possibly a little bit broader as well. And they've been around a lot longer, which means...
Well, let's talk about those age demographics a bit. the platform itself, Facebook came along, it was like 05, 06, right? Somewhere in there. I always think of the Social Network movie, to try to remember when it first came around. But the demographic has changed. And I know when I talk to, clients and potential clients and such, that change, it's gotten older. The platform itself, the people that are on it, like you mentioned, instead of younger people, we do have older people. So how has that kind of affected the advertising?
So I feel like organically it's made a huge difference. Like as we've seen, particularly with Facebook, organic marketing is quite dead on Facebook. And it's the same with, I guess, with advertising. A lot of people don't really want to advertise on that platform because it's predominantly, say, an older audience. It depends who you're targeting, I guess. If you're targeting an older audience, then they may be on Facebook. But in saying that, people are saying that, but I'm still finding with clients that have younger audiences, with the Facebook ads on and, say, Instagram ads off. So I've had a few clients where their Instagram accounts have had issues, and for a few weeks they might be off, and we've just been running ads on the Facebook platform. And in saying that, the ads have still gone tremendously well, considering their audience is between, say, an 80 and 30-year-old range. So we find organically, say, the platforms may not be working as well. But then in terms of like the ads themselves, people are still, even younger people, they might not use the platform to post and things like that, but they're still scanning the platform and using it to flick through and see what people are posting.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Well, I could see what you're saying. So Facebook is also, they've changed the platform a bit. And the thing that comes to mind for myself, actually, because I've got a 16-year-old son, is he doesn't use Facebook the same way, the average user would, of just going in and they're scanning news and stories and stuff like that. But he's on the Facebook marketplace piece.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing. Like, I think it's just, so they might not be actively using it in the same way that, say, an older demographic or even someone in their 30s or 40s may be using it, but they're still on the platform and they're still scanning it. So when it comes to advertising, it's still working from what we're seeing. So even though I know other people have said, say, it's not getting the same results, it's still working. But in saying that, if you were going for a younger audience, some of those other platforms you may find perform better, like TikTok or Snapchat. But again, we don't know if TikTok is still going to be around in a few years' time in some of the Western countries where they have started banning it within certain office places and stuff like that. So if that was to happen, then, the shift could come where some of those younger audiences are shifting back to, say, Instagram and Facebook more, because it's unlikely that we'll start to see a lot of other platforms coming into the space, because we have seen some of them pop up over the time, but they haven't had the longevity of some of these platforms like Facebook and Instagram. And if TikTok did close and people moved across, you'd probably see the longevity of those programs continue for another 10 to 15 years because of that younger user base coming onto the platforms.
Yeah, and in the case of like Instagram, a lot of younger users have still gravitated to that platform, not just TikTok. I know some are using like both, platforms and stuff. But in the case of Instagram, you have a lot of things that TikTok does that they've adopted.
Exactly. So in order to stay competitive and try and attract that younger audience, Instagram is trying to implement different things, whether it be Reels or some kind of short form video to attract that younger demographic and be, I guess, an all-inclusive kind of platform that has something for everybody.
Okay. So in terms of audience, though, because that's one of the most significant changes that Facebook has made, because as marketers, we want as much, I guess, the ability to refine our targeting as much as we can. Yeah. And so what have you seen be the primary changes to how you can target? And then do you have ways or strategies that you've been using to kind of work around the limitations that have been imposed?
Yeah, so I mean, as I was mentioned earlier with the iOS 14 changes, that's actually impacted audience as well. So it's actually limited the amount of people that we can now target, particularly when it comes to retargeting, because historically we used to be able to track everyone that came to our website and then retarget them with our ads. Now, because people can turn their tracking off, we can't retarget people at the same level. So our recommendation is to try and get as many people onto your email list as possible and build an ad strategy around that. So it'll have that as part of your ad strategy where you're getting them onto your email platform. So if you are an e-commerce business, you could run a competition ad such as you could win a $300 gift card, just fill out our form on the ad and you'll go into the running. Whereas with a service-based business, you might do a lead magnet or some kind of freebie to get them on your email list. That way you have direct access to the person and you aren't inhibited by the actual software that's stopping you from, getting to them. And
that's an interesting, I was going to say, that's an interesting point that you made. It's the limitations that they've imposed have actually helped, because you mentioned using email marketing as a way to, so you grab them, get them onto the list. So it helps rejuvenate a different strategy in a sense, because email marketing is not dead, dead by any means. It's still here. Everybody, it's being used robustly, but it's been seen, I think, as an afterthought by some businesses that they're not putting it as, making it as prominent a piece of their strategy as they should.
Well, that's 100% right. And it's probably one of the most lucrative ways to make money in your business with a marketing platform, because some studies came out showing that for every dollar you spend on email marketing, you get a $44 return, which is huge in comparison to nearly every platform. So it's definitely something that people need to be incorporating with their Facebook ad strategy. And if you combine both of those, and you're kind of covering most of the sales funnel. So I would highly recommend that. And then when it comes to audience targeting as well, we also saw a huge change in who we could retarget. So historically, we used to separate. So I'm getting a bit more technical now, but there's 3 different audiences within the Facebook ads platform. You've got your interest-based targeting, where you target cold audiences that you don't know. Then you've got your warm audiences, which are your retargeting audiences of people that have already engaged with your brand. And then you've got your lookalike audiences, which are mirror images of your mirror images of your warm audience, but they're still cold. They're people that don't know you but have the same attributes as your warm audience. So sorry, that may be a little bit technical, but your retargeting audience is your warm audience. And basically what you need to do when you create any warm audience in Facebook ads or Instagram ads is you need to pull them all into the same ad set. So if you are someone that's been dabbling in Facebook marketing or advertising, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. You need to pull all of the warm audiences into the one ad set to increase the pool size of the audience and make sure you've got as many people as possible to advertise to within that ad set.
Have you seen that, because with the demographic changes and stuff, because there's a lot more restrictions on how you can, refine your audience and things you're not allowed to do, anymore. Have you seen kind of the lookalike audiences not be quite as effective as they might have been previously?
Yeah, so historically, lookalike audiences were absolute gold, and we were seeing so much, there were so many sales and conversions coming from those audiences. But now, because of those restrictions, and because lookalike audiences are direct copies of warm audiences, and now we have limited access to those warm audiences, the attributes that we're able to match aren't as strong as what they used to be. So we're finding we're not getting as much success from those. I'm finding that within our agency, we've switched to using some broader audiences now. So we're finding if we give Facebook a broader audience and let them go through our audience and make the selection from the huge pool of people, then it works better. And by broad, I mean having less parameters. So you might increase the age brackets from say 18 to 30 to 18 to 45. So increasing those a little bit, just having Australia, for example, or the USA instead of Tennessee. So increasing those brackets and parameters sometimes, and giving Facebook the power to go into your audience and choose, it's worth testing that out.
That's going to be an area where AI is probably, because I know, like I say, they're integrating it and testing on how it will help there. So do you think it's going to be beneficial so that the audiences can become more refined again, even if you are not doing it? Like it's going to have a greater ability to pick out the appropriate people?
Yeah, definitely. So as AI continues to develop even more, the software is going to become way more powerful in being able to match the attributes of, say, past people that have interacted with your account to find new people that will be able to, that are most likely to convert. So I think we're going to see, better and better software coming out and producing us results. But in saying that, you also have to understand the nuances around Facebook advertising and also how to set up your campaigns in a way that gets you results, because often Meta will prompt you to do certain things and set your accounts up and your ads up in a way that may work in the short term, but it also gets them more profitability as opposed to helping your long-term strategy out as a advertiser.
Okay, let's talk creative for a moment then. Because Facebook's doing some stuff on that end with AI as well. I've heard that they're testing ways to improve the interface so that you can do creative faster and do more iterations, of your ads, which is often the toughest thing to do, more split testing, and do it quicker, especially for like larger budgets. My first question would be like, how do you get an advertiser to stand out amongst, because you have so much in the feed, and that's where primarily things, happen, from an advertising standpoint. So how do advertisers stand out on Facebook, so that their ads are noticed?
Yeah, so I think that comes down to like base level marketing. So I think you have to understand what you're offering. So whether it be your product or your service or your program, and then you have to then figure out who your competitors are and what they're advertising on the platform, and then how you can differentiate yourself. So if we dive a little bit deeper, people are saying, video is what is working, creating reels where you're using user-generated content. That is what is going to attract your audience. Now, we have tried this over and over again, and every single business and audience gets different results. So there isn't necessarily one set way, but this is where A/B split testing comes in, and you need to test different creative in terms of reels, videos, images, carousels, because what may work for you may not work for your competitor, or what may work for your competitor may not work for you. So you can go to the Facebook ads library, you can Google Facebook ads library, and what you can actually do is you can research what your competitors are doing on the platform, and it will bring up all the ads that they're coming that they are running. And what you could do is you could scroll to the bottom and see which ads are the oldest. And the ads that are the oldest that your competitors are running are most likely the ones that are producing results, because they wouldn't keep them running if they weren't. Now, you can use that as inspiration. Don't copy them for your own ads. But we will always say A/B test your ads, because it is likely that you are going to get different results to them. And so often people will say, the user-generated content is what is really working right now. But again, test, because if you test, you will lower the cost of acquisition and you're likely to increase your results.
Do you see, I say they're working on integrating the AI into that side of the platform, not just the audiences. So do you see the future where, even smaller advertisers can do, run more tests quicker? And, my understanding is that there may even be like, not really an image library, but the ability, because, how there's, there's already AI that can help, create imagery. Not just like Chat GPT, but it's like things it's connected to. So you already have platforms that are able to do that. Do you think, Facebook's going to go that route where you could do more stuff like on the fly within the platform to actually create the entire ad? Because right now you have to load up, different creative you want to be able to use.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think going forward, as AI continues to develop and get more and more powerful, it is going to understand on a very high level and deep level what is attracting an audience and what is getting results. And it is going to help you be able to create and recreate those things. But in saying that, it's going to become more competitive, because if everybody has access to those kind of tools, then it's going to be harder and harder to stand out, because it's going to be easier for everybody to be able to produce the same kind of ads.
Okay, so I see your point about the platform, if you incorporate AI, it's going to allow more advertisers to, because that's like really good for small businesses and stuff. It's going to be great for Facebook. as far as generating revenue, but it's not going to be great from the standpoint of you're going to end up with more advertisers on the platform to compete against. It's like it makes it easy for a small business to get in because it's going to have more of an assist on their end, but it's also going to allow a bunch of other people onto the platform. That, is that accurate of what you're thinking?
Yeah. So, I mean, more people will come onto the program. So if the demand's higher, the costs will increase because it works off an auction base. But in saying that, it's also going to become, if it becomes easier for people to be able to advertise, not only will more people come onto the platform, but you'll see more people having, being able to create ads that do well. So there's going to be maybe less disparity between some of the good and bad ads that may actually appear on the platforms if we have, say, AI. And you might actually start to see a lot of the ads having a lot of similarities in some ways and people differentiating themselves a lot less because they're relying on, AI.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make, because I know we've run tests. We use ChatGPT within our agency and such as an assistant, for different things. But it's when we've hooked it up, and I always forget the name of the creative program that's in AI, but if you're pulling any kind of creative, and if they hook it into the ad platform itself to help you create the ads, won't it have a problem of basically creating a lot of similar type imagery for different businesses?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think people are going to start, or business owners are going to have to start educating themselves on how to talk to AI and give it the instructions that it wants to differentiate itself as a business, as a brand, and a personality and tone of voice. So I think if you want to stand out and be unique with AI, you are going to have to learn how to instruct it in a way that gets you results that make you stand out.
Yeah, in which case it's essentially having its own restrictions for business owners, because if for anybody that's ever used chat or any kind of AI, if you are not really clear on the instructions that you're giving it, the input matters totally to get good output. So it could be problematic, and I think there could be a lot of similarities. I know there's been a lot of discussion about where it's really pulling the information that it's giving you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think we're going to see a lot of a lot of similar content across the web as a result, because I think a lot of people are just giving instructions to AI, it's spitting out, and they're basically just putting it up wherever they want to use their advertising, whether it be their website. And, we may start to see Google marking people down based off this, because the content may start to become less engaging if we're seeing a lot of similarities between it and not as much differentiation in terms of the brand personality again. And
yeah. Google's initial response for anything that's AI generated content is they're fine with it. They're like, hey, go ahead, do it all you want, because they want good engaging content. But that's the trick: is will it stay, or be good engaging content, or does it basically, end up sounding like regurgitated? So while it's not necessarily duplicate from other places, because I know that, for this show, we often use the ChatGPT to help generate the question. So we'll start with the input. Okay, we have a little formula for it. We start with the input and around the subject that we want, and then say, okay, give me 10 questions back. And then from there, I will choose, which ones we're going to focus on, or rewrite them, or whatever we need to, but it's because it's great as an idea generator.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But here's the thing that I see, and this is why I review them all before we send them off to anybody, is I see similarities in the way it's, the questions. And I'm like, well, okay, this one sounds just like this one, sounds like this one, sounds like this one. You're asking the same basic thing, just three different ways. I said, those don't work. And if people aren't paying attention to that, and so if you do that within Facebook, I think of the content that an ad is built around, you have the content, you have your imagery or your video or whatever it may be, but the way that content is written could end up being very similar.
Well, that's exactly right. And you still need to have that strategic level within your marketing where you're looking at who you're selling to, what their pain points are, what the solutions are that they're looking for, and how you can differentiate yourself as a brand, and the right kind of messaging that will get them from not needing your brand to realizing that they need it to then wanting it. So you still need to make sure that your marketing is still incorporating all of those traditional marketing that we have for years and years. But yeah, a lot of people are just letting it spit information out and putting it up, and it's not going to start driving the same results.
Yeah, that's a good point, because like the AIs have a problem with tone of voice and stuff and emotion essentially in your words, and what it's, giving you. So those limitations, I think, over time will be overcome, and it'll get better at it. But again, if anything where you have, like say you're incorporating it to an ad platform, and so how is it going to be able to really differentiate? And I just think of the example of like, across the US or whichever country, right? You could end up with 100 different companies that all basically do the same thing. So how does it really differentiate, especially if they're in the same markets?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I have seen another company actually that is one of my clients. This week they are testing out new software, and essentially you can load all of these different tone of voice examples in, and it very accurately will spit out information for you or content that is in your tone of voice. But in saying that, there are a lot of businesses that don't even really use tone of voice or have anything to differentiate themselves. They might just speak in corporate speak or, just normal talk. So I think understanding who your brand is and the kind of image and messaging that you want to have will really help you stand out once AI really starts to take off. Because then you can load that kind of tone of voice into AI and you can still use the software to get what you want, but you just have to instruct it the right way.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. You'll be able to load in. Let's say, with anything AI, it's going to be about educating the actual AI on how it should be doing things. And that takes time. I mean, it's like we think of it as being this like shortcut that it can do all of these things, but it takes a lot of education for it.
It does. And there's actually so many things that AI can do, but people don't realize. I think they just say, hey, can you write me a blog with 4 points about X, Y, and Z? Mm-hmm. But there's actually so many more instructions, and it's such intelligent software, and people are only really touching, say, 1% of the surface of what it can do. So I think going forward, if users are educating themselves more on the software and what they can do it and how they can get the most out of it, then they are going to see incredible results from it and start reducing more and more mundane tasks within their life and business.
Okay, so let's talk about the analytics, that are within Facebook and stuff, and the things that you can, like what are your, I guess, key areas that you're looking at when you're trying to make adjustments to campaigns, seeing if they work. And I do want to ask, how do with them integrating AI into the other areas, it's going to influence the analytics too. I mean, I see it as, possibly being one of those things that helps you understand the analytics better and make more, I guess, educated adjustments, because, so what are the key data points you're looking at?
So the key data points that I am looking at are generally always cost per result. So that's how much it costs you to get that lead, and then how many results you're getting. Because at the end of the day, people want to know how many sales they're getting or how many leads they're getting. That is what is most important, and how much it costs their business. Now, you can use a number of different things or data or things within the analytics itself, but they are going to be the two main things that you are always looking at, because when you A/B test your ads and you tweak them, you want to make sure that your leads and your sales are growing and that your cost per lead or your cost per sale is decreasing. Now, of course, there's other things that you can look at that are important, like your cost per click, because and the number of clicks that you're getting through to the ad. Because if you are getting no clicks through to the ad, it's clearly your creative that is an issue. Mm-hmm. Or, so it may be your imagery or your messaging, such as your copy or your headlines. That's going to be the first telltale sign that your creative is not hitting the mark with your audience. In saying that, it could also mean that you're targeting the wrong audience. You could have the right creative, but you might not have hit the mark with the audience. So if you aren't getting any kind of traction at all on your ads, start to look at how many people are clicking through, and that will give you that indication. Now, once they're on your ad, they've clicked through to your website, it is then the website's responsibility to convert that particular user. So I guess a lot of people will blame Facebook ads for not working, but a lot of the time it's actually your website. So once it's like someone's coming into your digital home, mm-hmm. and it's how you convert them into a sale or a lead. So you also not only need to be looking at your ads, but you need to be looking at your website and your conversion rate optimization to make sure that you've set your website up in a way that will move people through the sales funnel and into a conversion.
Yeah. How do you think they might integrate AI to, like, I guess, use the data either more efficiently or, more accurately? So that, like I said, you see AI being integrated and then it being able to help, conversions and things like that because of the adjustments. Because, when we're trying to make adjustments, we're reading this data, but we're still, we're having to make decisions on it. Does AI make that easier?
Yeah, so I think we will start to see some changes with that. We're already starting to see, say, some of the platforms like Meta give you instructions based on the data that's coming out on adjustments that you can make, which is extremely helpful. But in saying that, a lot of the time, the adjustments that we are getting told to to make don't actually help in the longevity of your ads. Right. So I think we still need to be careful when using AI software in terms of helping us, and even Meta's recommendations in terms of what they're telling us to do, because a lot of the time these will help make Meta more money, but it'll also help get you results in the short term, which is what's going to give you the hype to stay on the platform. But what we've found with what we've been testing is that a lot of the time, yeah, it does get you results in the short term, but it doesn't help you with your long-term strategy, which means that you still need to make sure that you understand the platform thoroughly and how to A/B test everything to get the lowest cost per acquisition. Because I know based off the instructions that I've been seeing that Meta has been saying, like, consolidate all your ads to see a better result with, or increase your cost per results and lower your cost per acquisition. I know from my experience with Meta advertising that is not going to get me better results in the long term. So I think we need to still question some of what is being instructed to us by the platforms, because you always have to understand that they are going to have their own best interests at heart. But in saying that, I'm not sure. We could start to see some better instructions coming. And I hope we do, because I see so many people losing money on the platform.
Yeah, I hope we do too. But it's, you have to take it all with a grain of salt. Google does the same thing. And most of their recommendations we end up ignoring because, and you just click check the box so it'll raise your, overall account score, but you don't actually do the recommendation because a lot of them are often to suggest keywords that are not going to work. They're not going to perform and such. And it. In fact, it'll suggest keywords you've already eliminated, that you may have tested, previously and such, but it will definitely get you to spend more money on the platform.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not great because there are so many people that are using the platforms that perhaps haven't had any education on how to best get results or how to use it. So they will take the recommendations of Meta, which they think are on their side, and unfortunately it doesn't help. It makes them spend more money or lose more money as well. So
that's been the long running good joke with Google. What's their number one recommendation? To get more, spend more. That's always their answer to everything. It's like, and it's like, it's like, okay, well, you tell the client that because they don't want to,
it's like, is there an option B? What happens if we don't want to spend more money?
I know. It's like, okay, the idea is I give you a budget and now we need to try to lower the cost per click, lower what we're spending, so we can get more, out of that same amount of money. Yeah, that's actually our job.
We don't want to scale something that's not performing.
So where do you see Facebook going in the future, from an advertising standpoint? Are we going to see a lot of change, or do you think it's, going to be a little bit more, the biggest change being AI right now, but where do you think it's going?
Well, I personally am interested to see, firstly, what happens with TikTok, because I think if TikTok gets banned, I think we're going to see a lot of these younger users come across to Instagram and Facebook, which will increase, again, the longevity of the platform. But in saying that, I think AI could end up having a dramatic effect on the software because it is growing at an extremely rapid rate and we almost can't even keep up with it as humans. Actually, we probably can't even keep up with it if I say that. So I think we'll start to see some really intelligent pieces of software come into the actual platform and change the way that we're doing things and making everything a lot easier. But in saying that, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the same if we're not careful. So.
Yeah, and hopefully they don't make any more major platform changes. I always love how the big companies, they like to make certain changes, and say it's definitely improvements, it's for the best, and we're like, oh, this was horrible. Why did you do this? Please go back to the previous version. Yeah.
I know, right? Well, actually, this last one where they swapped to ODAX has made it a lot easier because there's now less options to choose when you're making a Facebook ad. And they've also taken away a lot of the verification in the last few weeks, which has just made everything easier. So people don't need to, add in all of the events that they want to optimize for, like their top 8 events. So they've actually simplified a lot of things lately, which has been nice, or should I say removed a lot of the previous steps that we had to that we had to do. So yeah,
and that steps that you had to take, but were like unnecessary. Like, you were probably doing the same thing every time because you didn't, care about what they were asking.
Exactly. So, if anything of late, I've been really impressed by the fact that a lot of people, all the users of the platform don't have to do as much to get the results. So it'll just be interesting now that they've made that change, and we'll probably start to see it over the next few months if it's having an impact or not on the actual level of conversions and things coming through and the cost per lead. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, this has been great. If you were thinking about starting on Facebook, because you actually never have, and there's still a lot of people out there that have never used Facebook from an advertising perspective, who, like from an industry thing, who should be using it? Just, kind of a broad overview of what industries it's suitable for and which ones should, maybe look elsewhere.
Generally, Facebook marketing can be used across nearly every single industry. Obviously, there are some areas where it becomes more of an issue, like housing, health, politics, etc. But there are some parameters around that can stop who you're targeting. And obviously, if you are targeting people under 18, it becomes a whole lot harder as well. But in saying that, it's quite a broad platform that a lot of people can use because the user base is so huge. So nearly everybody is likely to find somebody within the audience on the platform. Now, in terms of where you are at in your business, that's a different story. So if you are brand new to business, you need to prime your social media accounts before you even look at advertising. So you need to make sure that you have got somewhat of a following so that you look like you're a credible business. And there are ways to do that, and it can be a little bit slow, but with AI software coming out, I'm sure we are going to see some ways that you can prime your accounts a whole lot faster and get followers a whole lot faster, because at the moment, organic social media, it's very, very difficult to get followers. If you are an e-commerce business, I would not recommend jumping on Facebook advertising unless you have a proven sales funnel. And by that, I mean, you have got people coming through your website and converting at least 2%. So for every 100 people that hit your website, at least 2% are buying. If you are a service-based business, you can jump on the platform a little bit easier. We are seeing some businesses that are quite new that are getting results in terms of getting people into their service offering or downloading some kind of lead magnet and getting them onto their email list. It is a little bit easier with service-based businesses. With e-commerce, it's more competitive because you have a lot of competitors that have been established for a long time. So you either need to compete on price. So if you are not cheaper than your main competitor, or you have a standout brand, you are going to find it very difficult, because why would someone buy off you if a competitor is selling it cheaper and the product is better? So 2 things to consider. It is a scaling platform. It's not necessarily a growth platform. It's when you are ready to take your business to the next level.
Yeah, that's often the recommendation we have, because, a lot of times, Facebook can be used. It's a great brand awareness platform. It's, depending on what you do, it's not always great from a lead generation standpoint. Certain businesses, it can do really well. Like we run recruitment campaigns for truck driving schools and stuff, and we get them like right on the platform. We don't even bother sending them to the website, and it performs great. So you're able to target really well for that kind of stuff. But and if you're in that scaling stage, you're really building up your brand, and you're a bit larger company, then it really can extend your reach.
That's exactly right. So, when you first start out, you can use the advertising to increase your brand awareness and start to get people on your website. but it's not going to be the miracle worker that people think it's going to be, because it's basically just going to amplify what is already happening in your business. It's not going to just get you all these sales out of the blue.
Well, this has been great. Nicki, how would people get a hold of you when they need a Facebook ad expert? And of course, you do Google and other social platforms too.
Yes, so you can find me at thedigitalexchange.co or on Instagram on the same thing, so thedigitalexchange.co. So yeah, you can reach out to me there. We have a bunch of freebies that are available on our website that will definitely help you grow your traffic, sales, and revenue to new levels. So yeah, come check us out.
Okay, well, this has been another great episode. We've been talking Facebook marketing, where the platform's going, how it can be utilized. I'm Cash Miller. I'm the host of Marketing Masters, CEO of Titan Digital. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.